Welcome to the BEARDCAST, where we go over the latest in AI news, build some interesting inferences for the physical security industry along the way, and much more. In today's episode, we're going to cover updates from robotics all the way to regulation, go over some fun demos, so stick around. You don't want to miss this. All right, welcome again to BEARDCAST. Let's get started. So here are today's agenda items. What you'll notice if you joined me for the first episode of BEARDCAST is that these are the same agenda items as we covered last time. But what's different is these are going to cover, just like future episodes, the latest in AI news. And of course, we're going to continue to make our inferences within the physical security space. So let's start with robots. There is an organization called ARK Invest, which makes technology market projections. And of course, they covered robots, especially now with the quote unquote hype of AI and really the hype of robots as a result of that. And it's a really interesting report. And so what I'll do in the description is I'll include a link so you can go download that report for yourself and check it out. Just be forewarned, it's very long. So I'm just going to cover a few brief highlights and then carry on. So the first thing they said is thanks to AI and computer vision, robots should be able to operate cost effectively in unstructured environments. So an unstructured environment is the opposite of a structured environment. This just means that the robot's going to be more adaptable. And so put it in a random environment, it's more likely to perform and more likely to be useful for the organization. Also, lower prices are stimulating demand for the industrial robots. They're seeing prices drop down. Technology does this all the time, right? It starts super expensive and then eventually goes down to a low price of whatever, right? That brings up the adoption of the thing that they're selling. Today, what we're seeing in some of the industrial humanoids are going, I've seen as high as $100,000 for each one. Elon Musk thinks he can get these things down to like maybe 16 grand. Who knows? But either way, even at a $100,000 price tag, you can extrapolate the math against, let's say a regular warehouse employee, and there's, I'm sure, a solid ROI for these things that can run, any number of extended hours that us humans can't. The other one is increased performance is stimulating demand for industrial robots. So if you've been paying attention to the robot space recently, it's been blowing up. But why has it been blowing up? Did the robot technology just get better all of a sudden? I don't know, right? But what I would bet that the proliferation of generative AI had something to do with that. And also, compute has also gone up, I've heard 10x in such a short period of time. So with the increase in compute technology that goes on the edge of the robots, so the chipsets, in addition to these new foundation models that are making things perform better, faster, and at fractions of a dollar, they're really becoming commoditized. And so I think that's probably what's allowing these robots to drop in their cost, but ultimately perform better, which is exactly what we want as purchasers. The other one is collaborative robots are entering the sweet spot of the adoption curve. So important word there is collaborative. The idea the robots could be more than just picking up boxes and moving them somewhere else. They could engage with us. They could be more generalized, so maybe they can work in different parts of the manufacturing plant. So instead of just saying you're working over here doing this, they might move in shifts. But the ability to collaborate with one another, not only amongst humans, but even amongst themselves, could maybe further increase their adaptability and again, their usefulness. The other one that they wrote that I thought was the most interesting, the last one I'll talk about, is that many companies are likely to deploy more robots than humans. And in that report that I'm going to drop in the description, it shows Amazon going from 2014 having this many robots, this many humans, to 2023, 2024 having this many robots, this many humans. And so the growth trajectory of robot adoption is outpacing humans for sure. Now, I'm not entirely sure if that's a isolated maybe it's their technology-driven warehouses, or if that's all of Amazon at scale. But it absolutely is something we should be paying attention to as we see the interest in robotics grow and grow. Also, Nvidia has a technology called the Omniverse, which provides training advancements for robots to learn. And so basically what this is it's a tool for companies to use that creates a digital twin, or basically a digital version of their business, in this case maybe manufacturing plant or warehouse, so that robots can learn in a virtual environment. So the idea is, back in the day, before they had something like this, is they would put robots in a physical simulation and let the robot just run and do its thing, right? That can take forever. The idea here is the robots can bang around, figure it out, unlimited amounts of time, and without having to have a human in the middle per se, and improve on itself. This is incredible. And so when I think about this allows these robots to scale in ways that they couldn't have before. So you combine the latest in AI development, improvement in compute, reduction in the silicon cost of the chips, and then you include something like this, and now you could shortcut the time that the robots need to learn in order to become useful for a customer. So let's take a look at this video and learn more.
The future of heavy industries starts as a digital twin. The AI agents helping robots, workers, and infrastructure navigate unpredictable events in complex industrial spaces will be built and evaluated first in sophisticated digital twins. This Omniverse digital twin of a 100,000 square foot warehouse is operating as a simulation environment that integrates digital workers, AMRs running the Nvidia PHYSEC perceptor stack, centralized activity maps of the entire warehouse from 100 simulated ceiling mount cameras using Nvidia Metropolis, and AMR route planning with Nvidia cuOpt. Software-in-loop testing of AI agents in this physically accurate simulated environment enables us to evaluate and refine how the system adapts to real-world unpredictability. Here, an incident occurs along this AMR's planned route, blocking its path as it moves to pick up a pallet. Nvidia Metropolis updates and sends a real-time occupancy map to cuOpt, where a new optimal route is calculated. The AMR is enabled to see around corners and improve its mission efficiency. With generative AI-powered Metropolis Vision Foundation models, operators can even ask questions using natural language. The visual model understands nuanced activity and can offer immediate insights to improve operations. All of the sensor data is created in simulation and passed to the real-time AI, running as NVIDIA Inference Microservices, or NIMs. And when the AI is ready to be deployed in the physical twin, the real warehouse, we connect Metropolis and Isaac NIMs to real sensors with the ability for continuous improvement of both the digital twin and the AI models.
So now on to Boston Dynamics' new acoustic upgrades. Now they made more upgrades to their robot Spot, which is basically their quadruped or their dog robot, as people look at them. But the acoustic one I thought was pretty interesting, especially for the physical security industry. So yeah, let's take a look at the video and see what they got. Awesome. The other things I saw there with Boston Dynamics spot upgrades, other than the acoustics, was its ability to work in different environments, improvements on like stairs and being able to go to different charging stations. It had a laser capability to give it better mapping and let's just say movement across different challenging areas that it showed, going around a ladder and a different kind of obstacles. So really cool upgrades for Boston Dynamics. So let's go over our physical security inferences for robotics. So investments, obvious, right? That just shows robots are coming. If you're not expecting them, you better get ready because there's going to be a huge market for that. Maybe as an investment opportunity, maybe as a new role, you want to look for something as a career change. But more importantly, like how do we include it within what we're doing? So I think there will be a lot more options for us coming into the space, just given the investment into the robots and making them more useful. Nvidia Omniverse, simulating security scenarios for real-world deployments. This approach allows facility-specific training, making robots more prepared and effective when deployed in actual security situations. So the idea is we can make a digital twin, let's say for a environment that has a perimeter, even a school, and it learns that environment, knows its security check-in points, understands it, and be able to work in an unstructured way. So that way, if there are pitfalls that are not going to be completely surveyed within the digital twin, that the unstructured capability will pick that up. And so that's huge, right? Because we think about roving robots today, they might have a very, let's call it a binary or unquantum approach where they're not really roaming in areas that are that they should be, or they could be rather. And so I think the Omniverse presents a lot of potential to make these robots more versatile and also obviously more effective in their performance. Acoustic upgrades, so hearing capabilities, boosting situational awareness. Robots could detect and respond to disturbances like breaking glass or gunshots, improving nighttime security and reducing false alarms. Again, a camera, a lot of what we do is we bolt on the stuff in our industry on a building, on something like that, right? A gate, building, something like that. And so the idea, you've got a moving camera, right? An acoustic device that could detect all kinds of things. So if a camera doesn't pick up because maybe it's not an infrared, let's just say it's a regular camera, its ability to pick up an acoustic of a moving fence or something that would cause an alarm event or at least further investigation event is the possibility of what acoustic upgrades and these upgrades of being able to work in different environments using the laser upgrades that they mentioned. And who knows, even coupled with the Nvidia Omniverse would be able to make it adapt to some really difficult terrain. So great stuff. All right, next up, AGI, or Artificial General Intelligence. So if you missed the first episode of BEARDCAST, what this basically is the end goal, or what equivalent of human intelligence would be for a lot of the top companies in the space. And so just with this topic alone, there's so much to cover. And what's great is this is a good source of also entertainment for the next couple of years. Now, again, if you joined me on the first episode, this was I released it a couple of weeks back. And in that episode, I talked about something called OpenAI's Strawberry model, or Orion. And there was rumors they were going to release it. This included new capabilities of reasoning and chain of thought capabilities that made its performance go up tremendously. Well, guess what? It got released shortly after I released that first episode of BEARDCAST. And so what we're going to do today is go over just a quick demo of what that looks like. We're also going to look at some documentation that compares the previous model of 4.0 to GPT-o1's chain of thought reasoning, and then some other documentation to support it. So let's jump in. Okay, so introducing OpenAI O1 preview. So preview means it's in a preview model, so they're going to release the full version eventually, but this is the one that's released to users of GBT Plus, which is the paid version of ChatGPT. And so here's what they said. So we've developed a new series of AI models designed to spend more time thinking before they respond. They can reason through complex tasks and solve harder problems than previous models in science, coding, and math. Today, we are releasing the first of this series in ChatGPT and our API. This is a preview, and we expect regular updates and improvements. Alongside this release, we're also including evaluations for the next update and currently in development. So how it works. We train these models to spend more time thinking through problems before they respond, much like a person would. I talked about that in the last BEARDCAST. Through training, they learn to refine their thinking process, try different strategies, and recognize their mistakes. In our test, the next model update performs similar to PhD students challenging benchmark tasks in physics, chemistry, and biology. We also found that it excels in math and coding. In a qualifying exam for the International Mathematics Olympiad, or IMO, GPT-4o correctly solved only 13% of problems, while the reasoning model scored 83%. Wow. Their coding abilities were evaluated in contests and reached the 89th percentile in Codeforce's competitions. You can read more about this in our technical search post. So as an early model, it doesn't yet have many of the features like ChatGPT that would make ChatGPT useful, like browsing the web or information, uploading files and images. For many common cases, GPT-4 will be more capable in the near term. So they go over the things like safety, who it's for, etc. But one of the things that they included in this that it's pretty cool is a lot of practical use cases of organizations already using O1. So let me show you maybe one or two of those, and then we'll go on to the next bit about O1 that contrasts against GPT-4o.
It's impossible to be an expert in every single gene. There's 20,000 genes. Like, you can't keep everything straight, but AI can. My name is Catherine Brownstein. I'm a geneticist here at Boston Children's Hospital. I'm also scientific director of the Mann Center for Orphan Disease Research. I deal with the N of 1 cases where no one has seen that presentation before. The patients don't know what's going on. They're really medical refugees in some way. This is a case of excruciating pain in their bladder. We can't figure out why. So I can go here and say, can you tell me about citrate synthase? And it tells me that it is expressed in the bladder, and it could potentially be related to bladder health. So the decreased citrate synthase activity, this is really smart, because I don't know from this variant if it's like knocking down activity or causing too much activity. It's actually really hard to figure that out sometimes. And so it gives both options, so I can think about both ways that it could be going. That's actually really cool. I go down a lot of rabbit holes that do not yield anything useful, and being able to increase the percentage of rabbit hole to useful information is killer. There's a level of obsession that all of us have. I think we also have the cases that keep us up at night where, we really can't figure out why we can't figure it out. No case is ever closed.
I can kind of easily follow the reasoning. I don't need to trust the result. I can just look, what did it do? Who are you? Oh, wow. Who are you? Very big question. I'm Mario Krenn. I'm a quantum physicist. So quantum physics is the study of the smallest particles. I want to understand how the world works. Here I would ask a question about the application of a certain quantum operator, which I know previous models like GPT-4 would very likely fail in this task. But here, in contrast to answers from GPT-4, this one gives me very detailed mathematics. This is correct. That makes sense. Here, I think it tries to do something incredibly difficult. The really interesting thing is, how does the world work? But if you know how the world works, it helps you potentially to build new technologies.
Okay, next we're going to compare GPT-4o versus GPT-o1 with chain of reasoning. Okay, so this portion of OpenAI's website just basically shows the performance between ChatGPT 4o versus the new o1 model. So it goes through the performance. Really the easiest graph is probably this one, where it shows the difference between the different competencies: math, coding, and science, and other. When we look at the first benchmark, we've got 4o that's scoring at a 60.3 in math versus o1 that's at a 94.8. That's huge. You're talking 34 points just on that difference. Once we move to PhD level physics, it's a 59.5 versus a 92.8, being o1, of course, being the victor. Then down to exams, AP Physics 2, 63 versus 81. LSAT, which is a test I took and hated, 69.5 versus 95.6. College Mathematics, 75.2 versus 98.1. And so, yeah, the performance is definitely there. And it talks about this concept of chain of thought. And what's great is it gives us an example that contrasts the two models. So we'll use an easy one, let's say English, that is trying to draft an excerpt from a contemporary book about maintaining health. And so you put this information in there, right? And then what happens with the regular GPT-4 is it's going to basically say your best option for the answer would be option A, and that's it. So what it's doing is, based on a massive data set, it's predicting the next token, in this case the next word, to provide you the best, most probable answer based on what would, I guess, sound or read correctly, right? And when we compare it to the o1 preview, it's very different. So let's look at the user's input. Now we go into the chain of thought where it thinks for 5 seconds, and in that time frame, what it's doing is it's breaking down parts of the question one by one, just like people would when they want to really understand the root cause, understand every step along the way to make sure that the reasoning and the logic is all there. So look, it says this question is about choosing the explanation in bold that best fits the writer's position expressed in the main clause. First, let's understand what the main clause says. Talks about the main clause. Then breaks down the best choices bolded in options. Goes through each option, then analyzes each option. Does this make sense with the main clause? It asks itself that question. Then it goes through describing it. The writer is the writer saying that. So it's now having almost like a dialogue with itself. Does that explain why it's difficult to determine how much people are eating? Probably not directly. Option D. Is this relevant? So it's going through each question and analyzing each question, asking itself on whether or not it's possible based on the context, right? Look, another one saying E, probably not directly. So given the following sentence, and the list just keeps going. And so in the end, what you get is this answer of D. But you can see how lengthy this chain of thought reasoning is, right? Just an extra 5 seconds in the model wait time versus an immediate response of what was the wrong answer of A and the right answer was D. And so this goes on, it talks about coding, talks about human preference evaluation. So basically human preferences by domain, safety pieces, and so on. So now on to OpenAI's advanced voice mode. There's a lot I could say here, but let me just show you. All right, so now we're going to give a demo of OpenAI's ChatGPT Advanced Voice Mode. Can you tell me a story about a physical security expert that is trying to sell AI security solutions to their boss, but the boss is being a pain in the butt?
Absolutely. Here we go. Once, there was a sharp physical security expert named Paul. Paul had discovered some impressive...
Hey, can you change his name to Chad?
Absolutely. Let's go with that. Once, there was a sharp physical security expert named Chad. Chad discovered some impressive AI security solutions.
I would like for you to change your tone to be more high-pitched, so that way I can be more excited and into the story.
Sure, let's make it more lively. Once upon a time, there was a clever security expert named Chad. Chad discovered amazing AI security solutions that could totally transform their operations.
Can you adjust your story to read or sound like a children's novel?
Absolutely. Let's make it fun. Once upon a time, in a busy, bustling city, there lived a brilliant security expert named Chad. Chad was always on the lookout for new ways to keep the city safe. One day, he stumbled upon a magical set of AI tools that could help protect everyone. With a sparkle in his eye.
Now do it in Korean.
물론이죠. 옛날에 분주하고 활기찬 도시에 찰스라는 똑똑한 보안 전문가가 살았어요.
Make your tone of voice deeper.
Certainly. Here we go. 옛날에 분주하고 활기찬 도시에
Translate to Spanish.
Claro, aquí va. Había una vez en una ciudad grande y
Continue the
bulliciosa,
story in English
un experto en
in a normal tone and end with the security professional in a short, very short story buying AI everywhere for the organization.
Sure. Once upon a time, in a large, bustling city, there was a smart security expert.
So you get it. So highly, highly adaptable in the moment, switching from tone to context to language. The possibilities are endless. Imagine if you take something like this, fine-tune it for your specific use case. I mean, customer service is transformed, right? It sounds much more natural and much more fluid. I can interrupt it and be able to adjust its really its output on the fly. So kudos, good stuff. Okay, so let's go over OpenAI's nuclear energy, year of agents, and Sam Altman's manifesto. So starting with the safer nuclear reactors. So this basically is Sam Altman going to the Biden administration saying, hey, we need more infrastructure to support the growth of AI. And so he talks about opening up 5 nuclear reactors that are going to support, I believe, like 5 gigawatts of power, which is enough to support up to 3 million people. And this is to help the U.S. hedge against losing our leadership position in the AI development in the world against countries like China and so forth. So let's take a quick look at the article to show you what it says. All right, now here's an article about OpenAI pitching the White House an unprecedented data center build out. All right, so it says Sam Altman and other tech leaders, the startup shared a document with the government officials outlining the economic and national security benefits of building 5 gigawatt data centers in various U.S. states based on an analysis the company engaged with outside experts on. To put that into context, 5 gigawatts is roughly the equivalent of 5 nuclear reactors or enough to power almost 3 million homes. And so the article continues to go on about the nuclear reactors. This isn't the traditional ones that you and I think about. They're going to be smaller reactors that are safer, more efficient, and really apparently the nuclear reactor science has matured greatly since the days of catastrophes. So apparently it's safe, it can generate a lot of power, and Sam is pushing for that because we're certainly running out of coal and traditional utility infrastructure. So good for Sam. Next up, we have agents coming in 2025. Let's take a look at the article. AI confirms AI agents are coming next year and what it means for you. He said 2025 is the year of agents, demonstrated by their voice assistant to make a call to order strawberries on its own. The company says there's 5 stages of AGI, artificial general intelligence, and we are currently at stage 2, where AI can reason through an idea before responding. This is the O1 model that we covered today. Agents is at stage 3. It means that AI is smart enough to reason through an idea, and as part of planning, its response can go off and perform actions independently. So agents, he confirmed, stage 3. There's only 5 stages to AGI. They've made it through these stages seemingly in months. Although I gotta believe they got this whole thing planned out. They know exactly when AGI is going to get released. But you know, with Elon Musk saying that AGI is going to come in 2025, yeah, it sounds like it's very likely or probable that AGI could hit us in 2025, considering that agents is the stage number 3. And last on this page, we have Sam Altman's The Intelligence Age Manifesto. Let's take a look at it. So you can find this address, which is just samaltman.com, along with other content, again, in the description. But this is something Sam wrote recently. He just goes on about how our grandparents would have been pretty much shocked with the advancements in technology and how fast this is going. He also uses analogies that talk about how their lamplighter in the past could, if they could see the world today, they would think the prosperity was all around them, was unimaginable. And if you could fast forward 100 years from today, the prosperity all around us would feel just as unimaginable. And so there's a lot of optimism he has here, but he does carry on in parts of the write-up talking about the downsides of AI and how building responsibly, you know, has to align with the maximization of AI achievements. But overall, Sam's got a lot of optimism around AI, and I think it's a really fun article to read, so I would suggest read it if you have time. All right, next up, we've got collaborative AI tools between ChatGPT Canvas, Google NotebookLM, and Microsoft Copilot. High-level ChatGPT Canvas basically allows you to edit the answers you get from ChatGPT 4.0 in a very custom and tailored way, so that way you don't have to continue to interact with it, ask it to make certain changes. You can call out where those changes are needed. You can adjust the intelligence of the response based on grade level, for example, and all kinds of things. So let's take a look. This is ChatGPT. So if you have the paid version, you can just scroll down to GPT 4.0 with Canvas and then just start interacting with it, right? So let's see. All right, so immediately what it's going to do is pop me up into a new kind of window within the same window. To the left is going to be the response that it would give you, or at least explaining what it is. But to the right is where you can start to make edits. So you can add emojis, you can add final polishes to certain parts of it. You can expand on the reading level from anywhere from, looks like, graduate school to kindergarten. What else we got? You can adjust the length, which is pretty much from longest to shortest. So let's make some adjustments. One of the things I did notice playing around with this is you can select parts of it, even down to the sentence. So let's just add some emojis to the first paragraph. Awesome. Let's now add some final polishes to this section, just that paragraph. Pretty cool. And then now let's change the reading level for the whole thing to graduate school. Okay, all right. Let's change it now to, let's see, just this bottom half to a reading level of kindergarten. So we can contrast between the top half. All right, very nice. And let's adjust the reading level, let's see, to short, and then we'll contrast with long. And again, I can change parts of it or the whole thing. So short, and then bringing it to long. Nice. Very long. We'll wrap up with some emojis. So yeah, if you've used ChatGPT before, just having this Canvas tool is super helpful. It allows you to, or it prevents you rather, from having to continue to ask it to reiterate. You can be very specific where you want it to have adjustments, what type of adjustments, based on reading level, based on whether you want emojis or not, whether you want it longer, shorter, whether you want it to, refine the response. So really awesome stuff. One of the things I did notice with this is that OpenAI keeps expanding the platform that is ChatGPT. And if you're using the API to build your own products, you could have some platform risk in that. So the idea with that would be, if you're trying to provide some sort of service using the API call, I would start to think about if ChatGPT could ever pull that into their own interface, because you could easily get replaced. But in either case, awesome tool, awesome advancements. Kudos to OpenAI. All right, next up we have Google NotebookLM. Okay, so here I have Google NotebookLM opened up. So once I get into the notebook, it basically summarizes a YouTube that I uploaded. This is content you can upload, Google Docs, YouTube, all kinds of things. I uploaded, selfish plug, the first BEARDCAST episodes you can see here, but summarizes it, provides a key topic, transcribes the entire thing, provides other helpful ways to learn the content like FAQs, study guides, table of contents, timeline, a briefing doc, and also suggested questions. But the thing that is the most cool about this, not only helps in learning, a form of learning, but is probably the most realistic AI podcast that's contextual based on what you want to hear. So yeah, listen to this.
All right, everyone, buckle up, because we're diving headfirst into the future of security. And I'm not talking about some far-off sci-fi fantasy. We're talking real-deal AI stepping up to the plate in the physical security game. And let me tell you, the future is now. You guys sent in some seriously wild articles and a YouTube video transcript all about AI's rapid takeover of the security scene. And let me tell you, I am so ready to unpack this.
What's wild is we aren't just talking about security cameras getting a bit smarter. This is different. It's the next level. We're talking humanoid robots, AI that's practically got its own thought process going on, and a world where telling the difference between physical and digital security is it's getting impossible. That's what it is.
Okay, so speaking of robots taking over, can we talk about Neo for a second? And I don't mean Keanu Reeves dodging bullets in slow motion. This Neo is a real-life humanoid robot, and the company behind it, 1X, they're doing things a little differently. Get this. They're sending Neo to live with us in our homes before unleashing him on the corporate world.
Bold move, right? So picture this. It's not just your Roomba scooting around sucking up crumbs anymore. You've got Neo doing security sweeps, noticing if, say, a window's been left open, or even sizing up that suspicious character lurking by your front door.
Okay, so maybe he's not quite ready to take down intruders with sweet martial arts moves, but from the videos you sent over, Neo can already navigate a house like a pro. And get this, he responds to hand gestures instead of just those robotic voice commands, which is both cool and a little creepy. Anyone else getting some serious uncanny valley vibes from this, or am I just easily freaked out?
See, that whole responding to body language thing, that's what's got my attention. That's not just programming. It means AI is getting better at understanding us, integrating into our lives. For better or worse, right? I mean, if Near's already figuring out subtle cues in the chaos of someone's home, imagine what it could do in a controlled security environment.
So, absolutely incredible. I don't know whether I like the updated OpenAI advanced voice or this better. Probably this better because it's less glitchy. And obviously super personal, right, for me, because I uploaded to YouTube and it was able to provide me just a ton of value within seconds. So really kudos to Google. Love this product. I'll see myself using this probably every week. Next up, we have Microsoft Copilot updates and their AI correction. So this is a page, I'll drop the URL again in the description, that talks about the recent updates to Copilot. So if you're not familiar, Microsoft basically ingested, OpenAI API across their Microsoft Office suite between things like Outlook email, Excel, PowerPoint, in order to provide additional value. So do things like auto-generate PowerPoints, shorten timeframes to create VLOOKUP tables in Excel, etc. Now they've since expanded those capabilities, and I felt it'd be appropriate to show because I would say these are a little cooler than the ones they've had in the past. Now, I have access to this in my interface for the sake of time, and really in this session, I'm just going to show some of the video content that they have to highlight it, and then we're going to move on into the AI corrections piece. So let's check it out. Pages, a dynamic, persistent canvas designed for multiplayer AI collaboration. It's the first new digital artifact for the AI age. Then secondly, they're releasing a rapidly evolving Copilot in the Microsoft 365 apps. Our customers tell us Microsoft Copilot Teams has changed meetings forever. In fact, it's the #1 place they're seeing value. We're excited to do the same thing for advanced data analysis in Microsoft Excel, dynamic storytelling in PowerPoint, and managing your inbox and Outlook. Third, we're introducing Copilot agents, making it easier, faster than ever to automate and execute business processes on your behalf, enabling you to scale your team like never before. So let's look at Pages.
Introducing Copilot Pages. Pages is a dynamic, persistent canvas designed for multiplayer AI collaboration. Let's say you work for an EV charging company and there's a new business opportunity. You start in BizChat, where you ask Copilot to do some research on the web. You want some basic information, like the number of daily passengers and information on the number of parking spaces with EV chargers. Copilot pulls the information and you turn the response into a page so you can keep working. You want to share what you've got so far and ask your colleagues to help. So you tag them. Now everyone can immediately start to contribute and you can see their edits in real time. Next, you need to get started on a plan for your proposal. So let's switch over to the Work tab. Here you can ask Copilot to reference a previous plan to give you a head start. Copilot pulls in the deliverables, work back schedule, and owners, which you add to your page. Immediately, your colleagues can begin updating the work back schedule and assigning owners. The next step is the proposal outline. You want to review the customer needs, so a coworker uses Copilot to pull in a bulleted list of requirements from a recorded meeting with the customer last week. In seconds, Copilot is able to synthesize the discussion and give your team the key takeaways. Now you're ready to start building the proposal. Last year, you landed a similar deal, so you want to reuse that great work. You ask Copilot to use that proposal as a starting point and update it to include the new customer requirements. With one last click, Copilot pulls it all together for you. Pages is an entirely new pattern of work, designed for human to AI to human collaboration.
Okay, so that is Copilot Pages. So moving on, we have updates to Copilot Excel. Let's see what's new.
Say you're working on your company's annual revenue forecast. In just a couple of clicks, Copilot does an advanced analysis, reasoning over 3 years of historical sales data. Copilot shows a preview of what it's reasoning over, creates a plan to analyze it in a way that is immediately useful, and executes it by writing and running Python code, giving you a quick picture of your numbers. You then ask Copilot to forecast your annual revenue for the next 2 years. Copilot repeats the pattern, creating a plan for how it will tackle the task, writing and running Python code, and prompting you to iterate and ask questions about its work. If you want to make any edits to the Python code itself, you can do so directly in the workbook. That's the power of bringing Python directly into the Excel grid.
Now to PowerPoint.
Introducing Narrative Builder. Now, Copilot is your creative partner. Let's say you're getting ready to pitch a new customer. You ask Copilot to create a compelling pitch deck in your company template that shows how your product will attract shoppers and keep them in the store longer. Now, with Narrative Builder, you are in creative control. It starts with a draft outline, where you can reorder the flow, delete or add topics, and ensure you've got a solid outline before creating a presentation. Let's add 2 more sections to the flow. One on our key value props, and another with customer testimonials. Within seconds, you have a content outline and you're ready to start on your presentation. Copilot makes a plan for creating the slides and executes it, crafting the titles and draft copy, pulling in images from your corporate library, and applying your company's PowerPoint template so the presentation is on brand. Now you're ready to iterate with Copilot as your partner. This slide could use an image. So you tell Copilot what you're looking for, and within seconds, it provides several options from your company's approved image library. Once you've selected a photo, you can choose from several slide design options aligned to your company's brand guidelines. With Copilot as your design, writing, and editing partner, you can focus on nailing your pitch.
So several updates going on with Copilot. If you want to see the updates with Teams and Outlook, feel free to visit this link in the description to learn more. And next up is Microsoft AI Correction. So here's the article that talks about Microsoft's claims its AI safety tool not only finds errors, but also fixes them. Basically, it says Microsoft launched a new feature called Correction that builds on the company's efforts to combat AI inaccuracies. Think of that as hallucinations. We've talked about that before on the podcast and BEARDCAST. Customers using Microsoft Azure to power their AI systems can now use the capability to automatically detect and rewrite incorrect content in AI outputs. So basically, it's a self-correction tool for AI systems. Imagine having that on top of reasoning chain of thought capabilities, on top of agents. This stuff is just going to continue to get better and better. So it looks like the correction feature is available in preview as a part of their Azure AI Studio, a suite of safety tools designed to detect vulnerabilities, find hallucinations, and block malicious prompts. So kudos to Microsoft on that. Okay, so next up we have Google's DeepMind AlphaChip. Let's read into the article to see what it says. How AlphaChip transformed computer chip design. And this is from Google DeepMind. Our AI method has accelerated optimized chip design, and its superhuman chip layouts are used in hardware around the world. Let's see, computer chips have fueled remarkable progress in artificial intelligence, and AlphaChip returns the favor by using AI to accelerate and optimize chip design. The method has been used to design superhuman chip layouts in the last 3 generations of Google's custom AI accelerator, the Tensor Processing Unit, the TPU. AlphaChip was one of the first reinforcement learning approaches used to solve a real-world engineering problem. It generates superhuman or comparable chip layouts in hours rather than taking weeks or months of human effort. Or its layouts are used in chips all over the world, from data centers to mobile phones. So it revolutionizes a key phase in chip design, how it works. Designing a chip layout is not a simple task. Computer chips consist of many interconnected blocks with layers of circuit components, all connected by incredibly thin wires. There are also lots of complex and intertwined design constraints that all have to be met at the same time. Because of its sheer complexity, chip designers have struggled to automate the chip floor planning process for over 60 years. And let's say, starting from a blank grid, AlphaChip places one circuit component at a time until it's done placing all the components. then it's rewarded based on the quality of the final layout. A novel edge-based graph neural network allows AlphaChip to learn the relationship between interconnected chip components and the generalized across chips, letting AlphaChip improve with each layout it designs. So instead of humans creating the chip layout, now you have AI creating the chip layout. And so, I mean, absolutely incredible, right? So we're going to continue to see enhancements to the chips that, you know, maybe you and I use every day, whether it's on a device or in the cloud, you know, on the device if you're using a Google device, likely, and in the cloud if you're using any one of Google's solutions, maybe like NotebookLM. Okay, so that's the AGI segment. There was so much to cover there, and let's talk about the physical security inferences we can make. So when it comes to GPT-o1, this is an opportunity for AI to problem solve on a complex operator level and maybe even manufacture software development. We've seen that the coding and math and science capabilities, basically STEM capabilities across the board for GPT-o1 right now seem to be unmatched anywhere in the world, of course against its own self, its most recent model release of 4.0. So there's opportunities to improve on DevOps, you know, software development, to improve on security technologies, maybe more or less helping to even the playing field, similar to Deepmind's AlphaChip that I'll mention towards the end. But again, you know, we're getting closer to reducing hallucinations to make generative AI models and found these foundation models to be used in the physical security world. So when we go through complex problem solving as security practitioners, again, just like pretty much every complex problem, we break things down in small pieces to understand where the root cause is and are we looking at the right things. And so O1 is certainly the start of that. And when we found out, reading the information about agents coming out in 2025 with Tom's guide, that the GPT-o1 model was stage 2 into AGI. Then we've got GPT advanced voice mode. So this could replace recorded talk down systems with interactive voice, call-in customer service, you know, pretty much everywhere. And then natural language processing voice commands through the interface. And so starting with recorded talk down, this is just an example. So if you have things like video escort, instead of having someone to call in, or let's say that there's an issue that the video system detects someone coming in and breaching the perimeter, instead of just having a recorded voice that says, hey, I see you're here, and leave, or having to pay someone a bunch of money in a monitoring center that says, I can see you, and they specifically identify what they're wearing so that the intruder knows that they are indeed being watched. You can have AI interpret all of those things in a way that feels natural. So that would be a use case. Of course, all customer service is going to be transformed as a result of this. Chatbots will improve based on the chain of thought reasoning of solutions like GPT-o1. The natural language, the feel of being able to talk to a real live customer service agent felt natural with the advanced voice mode, especially that I could interrupt it. And so, you know, I think where we see there's struggles in our industry with tech support seems to be a common denominator for a lot of manufacturers. This could certainly help at minimum with tier 1 tech support, leveraging the manufacturer's knowledge base of installation guides, etc. Then looking into using natural language processing voice commands through an interface, through a GUI, right? So instead of having to type everything in, you might just talk to it. And when you talk to it, you engage with it like a person. And so as we get to the point of getting to agents in 2025, now they can take actions for you in addition, other than just being a helpful guide through the interface. On to nuclear power, agents, and the age of intelligence. So more compute to power the next wave of AI agents. You know, that seems like an obvious iteration or inference of where nuclear power will help. Multiple agents working together to solve and act on problems. So if you think about in a physical security team, you may have different competencies on that team. Maybe someone that was ex-law enforcement to someone that is a technologist. You know, you may have someone that's a philosopher in some degree, and you have your balance of personalities, and these are agents that can be created within an organization to allow you to make sound decisions, even more so on a chain of thought reasoning model that we get. So what else have we got? Value of intelligence over brute force. So, we come from an industry, or we are an industry, excuse me, where we have a lot of ex-military, and so what tends to happen with this gun, guards, and gates approach is that it can be brute force sometimes, right? Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do to protect people, property, and assets, and I understand that. But I think with the age of intelligence, it presents an opportunity for us to relook how we do those things in a way that leverages technology like we've never had before. So really exciting times. A simple example of that is using things like drones to go into warfare as opposed to people. I feel like that's really the natural course of things. A lot less boots on the ground, more lives saved, and using technology to help. Then we go to AI tools like ChatGPT Canvas, NotebookLM, and Microsoft Copilot. So these are back office productivity increases for all departments, including physical security. There was a stat that came out from Microsoft that says somewhere between 70 to 80% of people in the workforce are using AI tools today. Probably likelihood it could be ChatGPT, it could be something else. But at the end of the day, those are vulnerabilities for organizations. They're pumping into these free tools sometimes with proprietary or confidential company information. When you use a tool like Microsoft Copilot, they have commercial security baked in, so you don't have to worry about that as an organization. And you can use, cross-functional tools to collaborate, to improve on a lot of things that we take for granted that these tools can do for, this low price of tens of dollars a month, right? So yeah, I think if any department can benefit, certainly physical security people can. Now on to Deepmind AlphaChip. So AI advancing AI chips will further capabilities for all. Is this the great equalizer to manufacturers competing on an even playing field? So this is coming back to what I mentioned with GPT-o1. Maybe, right? If the AI is iterating on itself, and really it's coming from these frontier companies or frontier model companies like Google and Microsoft, etc. Really, we're just adopting that. And so meaning we may be able to always get access to the latest and greatest as a result, instead of having to build our own things, assuming we're building our own chips to go into our devices. So really exciting times that we could all benefit from the greatest technology available that's backed and built by artificial intelligence. Okay, now on to spatial computing. So Meta released a augmented reality glass called Orion. So augmented reality is taking the digital world and layering it on top of the real world using holograms. And their glasses are pretty cool. So I'm going to play about half of the video, which is the release video of Mark introducing the product, going over some high-level basics, and then we'll move on to the next bit.
We've also been working on full holographic AR glasses for almost 10 years. Almost 10 years. And that is still the full vision that we're working towards. And I have something that I want to show you today. Yeah, thanks for keeping them secure.
Just hold that. Just
okay.
Hold it.
Okay.
Watch your head. Close that for me. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, here we go. There you go. This is Orion, our first fully functioning prototype, and if I do say so, the most advanced glasses the world has ever seen. Now, about a decade ago, I started putting together a team of the best people in the world to build these glasses. And the requirements are actually pretty simple. But the technical challenges to make them are insane. They need to be glasses, not a headset, no wires, less than 100 grams, They need wide field of view, holographic displays, sharp enough to pick up details, bright enough to see in different lighting conditions, large enough to display a cinema screen or multiple monitors for working wherever you go, whether you're in a coffee shop or on a plane or wherever you are. And you need to be able to see through them. And people need to be able to see through them too and make eye contact with you. Right? This isn't pass-through. This is the physical world with holograms overlaid on it. So if someone messages you, you will see that. And instead of having to pull out your phone, there will just be a little hologram, and with a few subtle gestures, you can reply without getting pulled away from the moment. Or if you want to be with someone who is far away, they're going to be able to teleport as a hologram into your living room, as if they're right there with you. You're going to be able to tap your fingers and bring up a game of cards or chess or holographic ping pong or whatever it is that you want to do together. You can work or play or whatever. Building this display is different from every other screen that you have ever used. And that is because it is not actually a screen. It is a completely new kind of display architecture with these tiny projectors and the arms of the glasses that shoot light into waveguides that have nanoscale 3D structures etched into the lenses so they can diffract light and put holograms at different depths and sizes into the world in front of you. And all of that is directed by custom silicon and sensors that we designed and powered by a battery that fits in the arm of the glasses. It is an absolutely incredible amount of technology to be able to miniaturize and fit into a pair of glasses and a small puck that goes with it to help power the whole thing.
Next up, what we have is the World Labs Spatial AI model. So World Labs is a new startup that was created by a lady named Fei Fei Li, who was known as the godmother of AI. And she's also, as a co-founder, that was a student of hers that was instrumental in it, and no pun intended, the transformer to create generative AI models. And so these people have been absolutely, from the R&D, research, academic side, ground framework, right, for what we use today and what we know is today is generative AI. And so she feels, along with a lot of the AI leaders, that AI can be much better. And they believe, in their view, it's in a worldly model that sees the world in 3D rather than 2D as it sees today, and that might be limited into a lot of what we see. There are a lot of use cases that we see with AI, generative AI today, which is around language. And so, so let's go to their website to learn more. They start off by defining what is spatial intelligence. So they say human intelligence has many facets. One is verbal intelligence, enabling us to communicate and connect with others through language. But perhaps more fundamental is spatial intelligence, allowing us to understand and interact with the world around us. Spatial intelligence also helps us create and bring forth pictures in our mind's eye into the physical world. We use it to reason, move, and invent, to visualize and architect anything from humble sandcastles to towering cities. We believe that artificial intelligence will help humans build better worlds. We have only seen the first chapter of the generative AI revolution. Language has thus far catalyzed this electrifying early movement or moment, and text-prompted image and video models rising up alongside large language models, LLMs, as a harbinger of AI's potential in the visual realm. These models have already empowered people to work and create in new ways, but they only scratch the surface of what is possible. The advanced beyond the capabilities of today's models. Really, to do that, we need spatial intelligent AI that can model the world and reason about objects, places, and interactions in a 3D space and time. So they go on to talk about who they are, where they're going, what they're building with or who they're building with, etc. And just to show you the team, so this is Fei Fei Li right here, the co-founder. Also, her right-hand man is this guy, Justin Johnson. So this was her student at one point turned co-founder. Again, one of the guys that was instrumental with creating academics that discovered generative AI and the use of transformers. So Fei Fei's been around the internet talking about spatial AI. She's gone from Twitter videos to as recent as Bloomberg. So I just want to show you a quick clip of her on Twitter, and I'll include the link so you can listen to some of her content directly. That'll be included in the description of the video. So here's a Medium article with further content on World Labs and Fei Fei Li's new venture, talking about $30 million investment as a spatial AI startup, background of the company, and then this is Fei Fei's kind of high overview of spatial AI and its importance.
Visual intelligence is my passion because I do believe for every intelligent being, like people or robots or some other form, knowing how to see the world, reason about it, interact in it, whether you're navigating or manipulating or making things, you can even build civilization upon it. Visual spatial intelligence is so fundamental. It's as fundamental as language, possibly more ancient and more fundamental in certain ways.
So let's build our physical security inferences around spatial computing. So the release with Meta Orion AR glasses presents an opportunity where security personnel can get real-time alerts. They can detect facial recognition and get situational data overlays, enhancing situational awareness and decision-making on the ground. So to my knowledge, China's already doing this. They're using smart glasses to identify people. Obviously, we're not doing that in the US, but it does exist today. While not necessarily augmented reality, it could be glasses that just alert them through maybe a mobile device, but nevertheless, it's using vision. Computer vision in order to detect these sorts of things, to let them know, like if there's a fugitive on the loose or things like this. The other thing that happened recently was at a college campus, someone actually used the Meta AI glasses, not even the Meta AR glasses, to identify students on campus. So they took the glasses around and they are able to see what their birthday was, what their major was. I mean, all kinds of content that certainly seems like a breach of personal identifiable information. So not recommended, but nevertheless, these things are possible, right? So as we look towards an augmented reality glass, all we now need to do is to put a hologram on top of that. So certainly you could see, if you've got boots on the ground, security professionals that maybe are in a government type of environment where security is more important than privacy. If I'm protecting like the president, for example, I could have these glasses pinpoint certain things in people to identify them, and then maybe categorize them as a threat or not a threat, and so they can act accordingly. Moving to spatial AI models, these enable better tracking, object recognition, spatial mapping, allowing for more precise monitoring of areas, movement analysis, and proactive threat detection. So a lot of the vision that's used today with these AI models is in a 2D environment. And so now once we move to a 3D environment, we have a better sense of physics, and which would allow the models to be really more performant, right? So they can produce better results, again, reduce those hallucinations, and that can only be good for all things regarding AI. Now, whether or not that's going to hit the security industry, when and where, who knows? Even spatial AI, where it's going to fall onto the spectrum to AGI, we don't know. What we have learned on this session of BEARDCAST today is that we're now phasing into stage 3, which is going to be agents in 2025. But the progression from stage 1 to stage 3 was only months, right? Not necessarily years, at least it seems that way, right? Based on what we know. And so what's going to stop us from getting to 4 and 5, and will spatial AI be included in that, or will it be beyond AGI? I guess we'll we'll find out. And so looking at Fei Fei's future, I think she's definitely onto something. A lot of the AI leaders feel the same way around spatial AI, as they call spatial computing. Apple's taking a big bet on that. So I would definitely keep paying attention to anything spatial regarding AI. Then as we get more information, we'll continue to build our inferences for the industry. Okay, so now let's go over regulation. So Governor Gavin Newsom actually vetoed the recent California AI bill, and in a short 3-page document that I'll read for you now. But super interesting to see that this getting turned, especially with all the pushback that was seen in the community. So let's go. So this is the letter from Gavin Newsom. As you can see, it's signed here from him, dated just recently. And first thing he says is he's not signing it. And then he goes into talks about how the bill was going to require large artificial intelligence models. So these are models that are usually costly of about 100 million. Usually the frontier models, as they call them, for the big companies like OpenAI, Microsoft, Meta. These are the ones usually that they're targeting, although there are some others less well known. And then it goes on to say, and those providing the computing power to train such models to put certain safeguards and policies in place to prevent catastrophic harm. The bill would also establish the Board of Frontier Models, a state entity to oversee the development of these models. Then it goes on to say, California is home to 32 of the world's 50 leading AI companies, pioneers in one of the most significant technological advances in modern history. We lead in this space because of our research and education institutions and our diverse and motivated workforce and our free-spirited cultivation of intellectual freedom as stewards of innovators of the future. I take seriously the responsibility to regulate this industry. So it just goes on saying like, hey, it's our responsibility really to safeguard this technology for humanity, but ultimately, he needed to veto the bill due to risk of stifling innovation, and how important it is to maintain the entrepreneurial and really creative spirit that Silicon Valley, San Francisco holds. And so, good move on his part. Whether or not that's going to have any positive or negative repercussions, I guess we'll find out. So as we look to physical security inferences around regulation about the veto of the California AI bill, is this positive for innovation? I think so. I mean, I'm just using the AI developer community as a barometer to decide that. But it's like the question is more of when do we do it? At what point does it make sense? And we're already basically going into stage 3 towards AGI using agents in 2025. When are we going to start looking at regulation? Is it going to happen in 2025? Is it going to happen in stage 3, 4, 5? Is it going to happen after AGI is established? And is that move risky? Or is the current move risky? I don't think so. I think the current AI, a lot of the leaders would say it's fairly dumb and not super risky, although anything is bad in the wrong hands. But I think as we look towards the industry, I really don't feel that our ability to regulate is going to be that big of a deal. I feel like we're going to follow in the footsteps of big tech. We're not going to build our own language models. If we do, we'll basically take their models and we'll fine tune them, whether they're large foundation models or small foundation models. And really we're just taking in someone else's black box, right? So as long as their AI is explainable, as long as there's governance in place already and the product's built that way, the algorithm's built that way, we're just going to inherit whatever we get from that. And so beyond that, when we think in terms of regulation for the space, maybe we find ways of protecting personal identifiable information in a more fine-tuned way around the products. I know there's already a AI board within the industry, so I'll be curious to see what steps they may take or may not take. But I think big tech's going to lead the ship here. I think that if they regulate it, we'll follow suit. I think if they don't regulate it, we try to. I don't know that it's going to stifle innovation because I don't think many companies are actually creating large foundation models. If anything, again, they're going to be fine-tuning existing ones that they can find on Hugging Face or IBM Watson X, for example. All right, so now on to industry insights. So industry insights, got a couple of updates here for you. One is a shoplifting AI made by Vision AI. This reduces shrink by 60%. It detects and prevents theft. This quick short video gives you an example of what it basically does, and then I'll go to the website to just kind of peruse through it more to see if I can learn a little bit more about the manufacturer. But this video, what you're going to see is the green box turns red when it detects shoplifting, and then the percentages are associated to the prediction score of how likely it is that they are standing, walking, is in normal state, or is in a shoplifting state. There you go, item in pocket. Item in pocket. Pretty cool. So let's go to the website to check it out. Okay, so this is Vision's website. Looks like they got a lot of big customers already. Active product solution. Looks like they talk about the kind of stats around the space where it says only 5% of thefts are detected by security agents. So this is like asset protection, loss prevention folks. While AI, on the other hand, can detect it 10 times more suspicious gestures. Trained to recognize posture typical of theft. It operates 24/7 on surveillance systems. Looks like it says it's basically plug and play. Looks like there's an edge device, almost like a bridge of sort, that's compatible with modern systems. So maybe it's ONVIF compatible, quick and easy install. I'd imagine it's probably cloud-based. Maybe there's some analytics on board, but the product doesn't really see if it shows a piece of hardware on the website. Yeah, so may take a little bit longer of a segment to review this, but either way, I think hopefully a lot of other AI companies in the space are looking towards to make these sort of behavioral models, behavioral AI algorithms in order to basically just get the sort of outcome that a lot of these operators want, right? Ultimately, we want to detect shoplifting. And the way we do that today is we put all these devices on top of the product so people don't steal them. We put things behind cages like or glass doors like Target. But I think in the world of high theft that's happening right now, especially post-COVID, things like this are certainly going to help. So kudos to Vision for this. Next up, we have University of Maryland's AI Invisible Sweater, or the Invisible Cloak. This is something that the researchers there created a complex pattern to confuse AI surveillance systems, making the wearer invisible to them. So let's go to their website to learn more. So this is University of Maryland's computer science website. It goes over the overview of what we just saw. They have a demo video here, shows a guy with a t-shirt, then he puts on the sweater, shows, doesn't even have to put on the sweater, and the AI gets spoofed. It's incredible. Seems like such a random pattern too. I don't know what their research decided that there were certain patterns that would trip up the AI, but look at that. Incredible. They go into basically kind of the tech stuff behind it that makes it spoof it. So it says we load images from the COCO detection data set and pass them through a detector. When a person is detected and pattern is rendered over that person with random perspective, brightness, and contrast deformation. A gradient descent algorithm is then used to find the pattern that minimizes the objectness cores, confidence in the presence of the object for an object prior. Wow, pretty crazy. All right, now for some physical security inferences about industry insights. So shoplifting AI, is this the beginning of really reducing shrink for retailers? Probably. Honestly, I think if I was a retailer and I saw this and I didn't have this, I would definitely want this. The ability to basically do what you need. I mean, forget about having all this recorded video beside PCI DSS compliance at the point of the register. Put this, man, on every aisle if you can. especially in your high value items. Electronics, it seems like a no-brainer to me. So obviously there's a clear use case with this, immediate use case with this. On the invisible sweater, it says curious if manufacturers or publications will test if it's true, and if it's true, will they create a mechanism to remove the flaw? So let's go on the assumption that all manufacturers that have AI detection or people detection of AI, that it's their own. I suspect that they would all have to now consider this invisible sweater, this invisible cloak, as a flaw mechanism or self-flaw. So when they go to make their next iteration, maybe they test against it and figure out a way to avoid this spoof. Now, if people are basically white labeling other people's AI, then good luck. I guess you're going to have to wait until the other company that makes the AI will fix it before you get the fix. But either way, it seems like such a simple thing for someone to spoof now that it's known in public. So hopefully this isn't going to go too far. I think this is, to me, almost a bigger problem than even having HID CIS cards being able to be copied. If I walk into if I'm an active shooter and I put on this sweater and the camera system is supposed to detect a person using even an analytic at basic, it's not going to see them. And so I think this is a problem, and hopefully manufacturers are catching wind of this. That's a wrap for BEARDCAST, episode 7 under season 2 of AI PHYSEC today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you. If you like what you saw today, please make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell to make sure you get notifications for our latest episode drops. If you have any comments, feel free to drop those in so we can collaborate. Also, help me evolve our next future episodes to make them better and better for your viewing pleasure. So thanks again. Until next time, peace.
Yeah, hey, drop.